Good, we're good.
Very good, and we praat delicious Afrikaans. Also,
Praat delicious.
yeah.
Normally it's the other way around. Afrikaans people saying that in English, and you hear his voice. Does his voice sound, familiar to you? That's because you keep hearing it on radio. Some ad, something, voiceovers. Renier, I didn't. Actually, I got to know Renier as Ren from 1440. Mos.
Yeah, shame.
Yeah, shame.
Trying to be a
just
rock
terrible.
star.
Oh, okay, Timo.
It was
Listen
terrible.
here. Let's introduce the two of you as who you are today. And I always give the guy the chance to introduce the girl so that she can have the first platform. You see, who's this lovely wife of yours?
This amazing hero of a woman, and she's the hero of the story that you're going to hear today, is my wife, Adele. Wow.
She is gorgeous,
Can you give me a minute?
isn't she?
I get to stay. And my name is Renier Bester. I think my mom calls me Ren.
Yeah.
I was pushing that thing so hard that now it's just kind of stuck. My wife calls me Ren. Anyway, and we are just really grateful to be able to sit here and to tell the story. It's an absolute miracle. We can't wait to share it with you.
What type of personality does she have?
Sure. I would say a combination between a pit bull and a princess. Like as
PMP, huh?
Yeah, fully. As
like Pick and
soft
Pay.
and beautiful and loving and kind and gracious as a princess, and I refuse to let go like a pit bull.
That's the best description I've ever heard of anyone on this radio. So congratulations.
Well,
wow.
It happened right now. So
Princess and a pit bull. Okay, describe Ren then.
Describe Ren. He is spontaneous.
Yeah.
Loves to be spontaneous. He is very strong. Not just physically, but emotionally, really, really strong. He is the love of my life. I fought so hard for this thing because I could see what was in there, and that thing was worth fighting for.
Even though it was buried.
It was buried very deep, very deeply. But I think wives can see, and that's what makes wives fight.
Okay, so you met the woman. You thought, oh, she's a babe. You marry the woman. What went wrong?
Well, it's a great question, and if I had to nail it down to, I suppose, one thing, it would be a desperate need for affirmation that was unfulfilled. My parents are incredible. They're amazing, and I will honor them until the day that I die. But we're all human, right? Like, we make mistakes, and there was a way that I was raised. They're beautiful Christian people. There was just a way that I was raised, that I was the center of attention, and the way that I experienced love and acceptance was through performing, doing things well, and that just created a really unhealthy need in me to be affirmed by eventually people I didn't even know. And the worst possible career to choose for someone who needs affirmation is music. Now you're on stage and you get it all the time. It's like a drug.
Because you're good, so people react to it. So you see that affirmation in their faces, and it sort of feeds off one another.
Yeah. Yes, and listen, I loved Jesus and was desperately trying to do the right thing, and this band is for Jesus, but oh my goodness, it was like a heroin addict in a crack house, or crack addict in a crack house.
And then what was the result?
Well, the result was an enormous amount of womanizing and drug addiction and affairs and lies, and so because I feel rubbish about myself, I know what to do in order to feel better about myself for 5 minutes, whether it's whatever the dopamine hit is, whether it's a woman or a drug or alcohol or a gig, or I know how to fix it. The problem is the way that I'm fixing it adds to the fact that I feel rubbish about myself.
Yeah.
And adds to the sinfulness. And now it's unconfessed because I need affirmation. The last thing in the world I'm going to do is confess what I've done. And we need to confess our sins one to another so we may be healed, right? That's where the healing comes. I cannot confess what I've done. There's no ways. And so there's this cycle.
And it festers.
It festers, it grows, it becomes this. Eventually, there's so much rubbish that here's what Satan does. He tells you, you're the worst. You know, Paul says, I'm the chief of sinners. He goes, Paul had nothing on you, Ren.
Yeah.
You are the worst of the. If anyone knows who you really are and what you've done, you'll lose everything. You'll lose your family. You'll be on the street. Your parents will hate you. Your kids will never want to speak to you. You'll lose your job. Whatever you do, protect yourself at all costs.
I also want to ask, because this is like a catch-22 paradox thing here. It's like the worse you feel about yourself, the worse you treat those you love. It's as you would think that when you feel that guilty, that you'd actually treat them better and they get more flowers or more chocolates to make up for how you feel. Or how did you treat Adele?
No, terribly. I think you go into self-preservation mode, which makes you. Well, we're selfish anyway as humans.
Yeah.
And then there's like sin on overdrive, which makes us super selfish. So I treated everyone badly. Everyone to me was a means to an end. You served a purpose in Ren's world. And so whatever that meant. But you become, as an addict, you become really good at manipulating and letting people, hoodwinking people, if you like. They don't know what's happening. Most people will not know. They just think, wow, that Ren's such a nice guy. Meanwhile, I've used you for your money or your platform on Radio Pulpit or your whatever. The fact that I could get a gig out of you or that I could get a gram of cocaine out of you or that, you know.
Okay, Adele, you love this man. So you want to believe the best of him. I think it must have taken a while for you to accept that what you've got now is not what you thought you'd get when you got married.
No, there was zero acceptance. I went through 9 years of denial. I kept trying to change him into who I thought he should be, the perfect version of Ren that I thought he should be. And when he talks about, confessing your sins, there was once or twice where things came out. And the most important thing in a marriage is to be a safe place for that person, that this is home. This is where you can come and you can be. I was not that person for Ren. And I remember something coming out and oh my goodness, I threw everything that this man owned, every guitar, every device, everything into our swimming pool. I was so
Well, he hurt
enraged.
you, so you want to hurt him back or what?
I did. And to me, Ren worshipped music. And so what better way to hurt him than through the thing he loves most in the world, you know?
Yeah.
So it was
I'm fine
terrible.
now. I'm still in therapy. we're okay. We can talk about it now.
Okay, so what brought it to a head? What was the turning point?
Wow. So I'd separated from Adele in October of 2019.
Who left who?
I left her. Mostly because, well, there were two reasons really. One is I thought that there's no ways I can ever, if who I really am and what I've done comes out, there's no ways. There's no coming back from that. And also I was at that stage in a 2.5-year affair that was still in secret. And also multiple other sort of short-term affairs. So and also I was using drugs again and I was drinking again. My life was imploding.
Hold that thought.
Yes.
So this had not come out yet, and he leaves
no.
you.
No, I didn't know. So,
So you didn't really know why he's leaving you.
So that night specifically,
That I left.
Yes.
Yeah.
I basically did the worst thing any human being can do to someone in Ren's position, and I gave him an ultimatum. I said to him, you commit to this family or you get out. Pack your things and get out. And to my absolute horror, he started packing his things because I thought there's no ways he's going to leave his children. You know, at least there's that. But he started packing his things.
Yeah. Oh,
It was-
and sure. Oh, you put yourself in your shoes and you're thinking, how do you even breathe after something like that when the person you love, even knowing it all? When did it come out then?
This is the greatest part of the story. So we're separated for 6 months from October 2019 to the end of March or April, sort of beginning of lockdown 2020. Adele finds Marriage Helper, an organization in Nashville, a month after we separate. She's lying in bed one night and Googles, can one person save a marriage? Hoping to God to hear no, because like I just need to let go of this.
So is that what you Googled? Can one person save a marriage?
Yes.
You
And
still
honestly,
hadn't
I
given
was
up.
not looking for hope. I was looking for God to release me. I was looking to feel, because every time I thought about divorce, I just didn't sit with me. I had no peace about it. And you know, when God tells you to do something, you have peace.
Yes.
And so I was looking for that peace. I was looking for an article that said, it's over,
Go
you
ahead,
were
make your day.
released. And
Yeah.
even when I read scriptures like, you know, you can divorce if they cheat, I'm very much paraphrasing there, but
Yeah.
but even when I read scriptures like that, I didn't have peace about leaving. And so I was not looking for hope. And I find this video of this lady, Kimberly Beam Holmes, and she is describing what we teach at Marriage Helper called smart contact, how to diffuse a marriage in crisis, right? And basically it boils down to becoming, like I said, a safe place and this man's friend, because I hadn't been this man's friend for a long time. You're supposed to be his teammate. I was his enemy. I was constantly trying to change him, constantly criticizing him, telling him where he was going wrong, expecting, you know, just an insane amount from him. And he never experienced acceptance from me, ever. There was no point that he felt like, this is my home. I can walk in here and I'm loved and accepted.
Is this now what you heard in this video? You're listening to this video and you're realizing I wasn't what he needed.
I blamed him for everything that went wrong in our marriage. If Ren just stopped drinking, we'd be fine. If Ren just stopped cheating, we'd be fine. If Ren just didn't do drugs, we'd be fine. Never, ever looked at myself. And when they describe how he's feeling, how, you know, because Kimberly is the daughter of Dr. Joe Beam, and he's the one who started this organization, and he went through something similar to Ren. And so when he described to me what it was like to live with a controlling woman, or when it was like what it's like to be in a relationship where there's no love and no acceptance, I realized how much trauma I had caused him. Not that I take responsibility, you know,
for his actions.
the affairs were his decision.
Yeah.
But I can understand why he would want to flee from this marriage. And so I started to change.
No. I need to get practical. I need to understand. You watch this video. What's the next thing you now do?
So they talk about working on your pies. Pies stands for physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. So in all four of those areas, there's a level of attraction to another human being. And so physical is not a big deal. I'm not massively overweight. I don't need big changes there or anything. But what I realized was emotionally, I would repel people because of my own insecurities, because of my own fears of being abandoned. I would keep people at arm's length. And spiritually, I had no relationship with God. I read the Bible and I went to church, but I never trusted God with my life. It was very much, you stand there unless I need you. And so I start setting goals in all of these areas, and they're small and
Doable.
achievable. And I gain momentum. And as I do this, it starts to change what I went from thinking. Ren is so, I used to believe that Ren would lie in bed at night thinking, how can I completely destroy Adele's life? That's what I genuinely believed about my husband. And when I realized that he was doing what he was doing from a place of pain, and I realized this because I was doing the things that I did, my controlling behavior, the criticism, the being judgmental, all of that, I was doing from my own pain. So when I realized that, I started looking at him thinking, I have pity for this man. I feel sorry for him. And it's weird because God took me through the exact thing that man needed.
You changed, but I mean, you didn't know she'd been watching a video and it was going a completely different direction. What changed you?
No, I had no idea. In fact, I couldn't put my finger on it, but I realized that she was changing. Now, interestingly, because of where I was at, it was really important for me to make her the enemy in order to justify what I was doing.
Yes.
Remember, I know Jesus, and so I know what I'm doing is wrong. But I've made this decision, so I have to vilify Adele in order to make her the bad guy, to justify what I'm doing. And she's becoming nicer and nicer. And
It's harder to do.
It's so frustrating because she's becoming amazing. And
Stop being nice.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would like to formally apologize for the worldwide lockdown in 2020 because I think God organized that to save our marriage.
Yeah.
So Adele calls me when lockdown was announced and said, hey, please, will you come and stay? Because remember, it was going to be 21 days. Please, can you come stay to help with the kids? And I'm torn. I can't look her in the eyes. I can't wait to not have to look her in the eyes ever again because of what I'm doing. I'm in an affair. So I have to I'm going to go move back in with my wife. I mean, it's just a web of deceit but I decided to end my life. I could not live under the weight of the sin anymore. I couldn't do it. And I decided to end my life at in April 2020. And I thought, let me just go hang out with my kids for 3 weeks before I go.
God.
And the second Saturday morning, so I move in, and the second Saturday morning of lockdown, Adele had a dream the night before. Book, I don't know if you want to just share that dream quickly before.
So I had this dream of Ren, and there was this horrendous looking creature, kind of like the thing from Predator, standing behind him with its hand inside Ren, holding onto its heart and onto his heart and playing with him like a puppet,
Oh, my word.
toying with him. So it was almost like the darkness had a grip on him. And so I was really disturbed by this dream. And the next morning I said to him, I feel like you live in a constant place of darkness. And I know you still want a divorce, and I know we're not getting back together, but I just want you to take this opportunity to confess and be free. And he was scared. And I don't blame him. I was a nightmare.
Yeah, look, I mean, she told you about all the stuff in the pool, right? So the previous time something came out, my stuff ended in the pool.
Yeah.
But there is no ways I'm telling this woman anything. This time she's going to drive my car into the pool if I'm lucky. And she was kind of, the only way I can describe it is lovingly relentless. She wasn't pushy like, oh, I know you're doing things wrong, tell me. She said, I'm concerned for your soul. I don't care about our marriage. I'm concerned for your relationship with Jesus. Confess this stuff. So I couldn't go anywhere, right? It's hard lockdown. I can't get in the car and leave, which is what I would have done. And so I confessed 3 things, hoping that she would leave me alone and the Holy Spirit would leave me alone and we can move on. And I confess those things, which historically would have been a massive blowout. And the reaction I get from her is, wow, I'm so grateful you shared that with me. Thank you. But it's not everything. And so I made a decision, not out of honor, but because she wouldn't let it go. And I spent the next 40 odd minutes confessing women and lies and relapses, and just vomited my whole life onto her, my whole secret life. And she when I was done, she came and sat next to me and she put her arms around me and she said, I love you so much. I'm so glad you're free.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
What did you see when you saw him now? I know our time is done. But I have to find this.
You know, Janine, the night before, the night I'd had that dream, he was in the bed by me and I was watching him breathe, and his chest was rising and falling as fast as if he was running a marathon. You couldn't believe the physical effects that the sin and the lies and that's living in secrecy was having on him. The next night, after this confession, he slept calm and peaceful. His breath was
He who the
deep
sun sets
and
free is free indeed.
it was unreal. This is
Oh.
not something he can fake, right? I'm seeing physical things happening while he's asleep. It's not like he can fake calm.
No.
It was unreal.
Ren, our time is up. So I want you to speak to South Africa. Say what they need to hear.
all right, marriagehelper.com. Please, if you want to reach out to us, we do marriage coaching. And there's an organization called Marriage Helper that specialize in this and have the most. They were obviously instrumental in putting our marriage back together. Between Jesus, a wife who won't give up, and Marriage Helper, anything's obviously with Jesus alone. It's possible. But it's so helpful to have practical tools. And Marriage Helper is the way to go. Both of us coach if you want to reach out to us. Otherwise, ren@foreverever.co.za. The 4 is the number, and ever. Twice you can reach out.
.co.za.
Correct.
I'm going to post this on Facebook so that you can get a hold of it. Thank you for sharing. We
Thanks for
actually
having us.
much more time because I can see you've got more to share as well. But there's hope. There's always hope. Never
Always.
believe there isn't. There is
Amen.
hope as long as God is God and marriage is holy.
Yeah.
What's done is done, and
CND or VS.